You gotta act like a woman and think like a boss. All right, y'all, that is the remix because you are listening to episode 2 of Drop the Aspiring Act. My bad. That's the remix, Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Boss, because you should be bringing your whole self to the table in your career, in your business, and in your life. So listen to this week's episode and get more details on how you can act like a woman and think like a boss.
Hey queens, yeah you know who you are. God, come on, go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left, now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work, cause we know you got big goals and you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Cause you step into your purpose. You speak out on your faith, and you shift up in your journey, cause you a boss. Welcome to the podcast, Drop the Aspiring Act with your host, Veli of QueenBayGoals.com, reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. Alright, y'all. Go ahead and work that crown.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. And this is the second season. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, this is the second episode in the Act Like, Think Like series. And today we are talking about act like a woman, think like a boss. Because y'all know that's how it's supposed to go. I know you've heard it before. So let's start with the act like a woman, think like a man. I know you've seen the movie. I know you've heard the song, and I'm not dissing any of it, right? But when they're talking about act like a woman, think like a man, they're talking about that in relationships. But some people take it to another level and they take it over to careers. You know, some women feel like they have to act like a man in certain areas in their jobs. And they feel like they have to, get into a little boys club, which I do not think is right. So that's why I say act like a woman, think like a boss. Act like a woman, think like a man is maybe if you want to do that and play those games when it comes to relationships. But when it comes to your business and your careers and when you're making moves in any industry, you should be acting like a woman and thinking like a boss. All right. So let's jump into acting like a woman. So number one for acting like a woman, the first thing I say is bring your whole self to the table. And bringing your whole self to the table means just that, right? Bringing your unique experience, your unique perspective. You don't have to think like anybody else. You don't have to act like anybody else. Just bring you to the table because you have something that you can offer just as much as anybody else. The second thing is do not feel pressure to play the good old boys games. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go to work and spend time with them after work drinking. You don't have to spend money you don't have to go out to fancy dinners, fancy lunches, fancy clubs. Just cut that out. Besides, do you really want to work for a company that promotes solely on the basis of you going out and having drinks after work with the boss? Like, really? Do you want to work for a company that truly, lifts that up? Right. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Fab Fit, I think it's the company. I'll have to look it up to make sure I'm saying the right thing. But Fab Fit, it's like a tights or leggings kind of thing. And they have this advertisement. And in the beginning of it, it's like when a man advertised leggings, right? They advertise it with a woman in a nice body wearing some nice leggings, right? When a woman advertises the same leggings, they present it with the problem, like a problem that most of us have, which is you can't find anywhere to put your stuff when you get out and you go to a track or somewhere to go running and you need to put your keys somewhere, you need to put your phone somewhere. So who came up with the idea to actually show them that, we have pockets in these leggings, right? A woman, because that's a problem that we have. And then they also have the advertisement with women of different sizes. So if you look at the advertisement that came from a woman and you look at the advertisement that came from a man, right? Which one do you think made more money? The one that showed a nice flashy body in some tights, or the one that shows you, hey, first of all, it comes in all shapes, all sizes, and it solves a problem. It tells you exactly where you can put your keys, your phone, whatever it is that you're walking with, your headphones, your headsets, your music, whatever it is, you have a pocket in your leggings to put these things. How much more pants do you think they sold with that commercial? Right? And that was from a woman had to be in that room and told them her unique experience, right? And her unique perspective, because they're not just looking at the designs on the pants, right? Because that's what probably men think, it's a nice design on the pants. Women are going to buy it for the designs. No, we're going to buy it because it solves a problem. So that's why I say, bring your whole self to the table, your unique experience and your unique perspective. And don't feel pressure to join any of the boys club stuff. So completely act like a woman. Do not try to act like a man when you're in these rooms. We are not equal to men. And I'm not saying that they deserve to get paid more than us. Don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is we have our own value. We bring our own stuff to the table, right? So do not discount what you know, what you grew up with, the experiences that you had when you're in your business or in your career or you're trying to step up to that next level. Bring your whole self to the table. Act like the full woman that you are and show them the value that you bring. So, second half, think like a boss. Now, when I say think like a boss, I'm going to first admit that we women can be emotional because that's just in our nature, right? Well, some of us, not all women are emotional, but my husband will tell you I can sit and watch movies, and depending on the type of movie it is, I would be crying like a baby watching some of these movies. So I know some of us can get emotional like that. But when you're in business and when you're in your career, you need to start thinking like a boss. And that means think about your bottom line and think about what's good for your company. And you have to set your feelings and emotions aside, because that's not what it's about in business. In business, it's about whether or not you can make a profit, whether or not you're reaching your right audience, what's good for the company, what's good for the environment, what's good for everybody in a whole. And you have to take emotions out of those situations, right? And the other thing that we have to do when we're thinking like a boss is don't take it personal. Because a lot of times you can take things way too personally when it wasn't even about you. It was just about whatever the situation was. But you internalize that because you have your own stuff going on internally, and you just blew up an entire situation that had nothing to do with you. So think about the bottom line of your company. Think about what's good for your company. Don't get emotional and don't take it personal. So that's how you think like a boss in your business, in your career, in your life. So in this episode, that's all I want to talk about. You should act like a woman, think like a boss when it comes to your career and your business. And if you want to, you can act like a woman, think like a man when it comes to your relationships. I'm not saying, don't do that if you're still into those games. If you're still into figuring out men, if you're still looking for that one relationship, by all means, go get Steve Harvey's book and go read it. Go watch the movie, sing the song. Like, what's her name? Jennifer Hudson's song. It's on my playlist. I listen to that when I need some motivation, right? But when it comes to business, that's not how you think, right? You don't think like a man in business. You think like a boss, and you still act like a woman because you have your own stuff to bring to the table that nobody else does. All right? So this episode, that's all I wanted to talk about. Act like a woman, think like a boss. All right, you guys. So next episode, we are talking about act like an asset, think like an entrepreneur. So there are more business tips in there for those of you that want to go and create your own business or run your own company. And I'll say in this one, it's not all about just being an entrepreneur. Having an entrepreneurial mindset is not about being an entrepreneur, because everybody who has the mindset does not necessarily want to run a business. So make sure you tune into our new episode, Act Like an Asset, Think Like an Entrepreneur, next week. All right. So I will see you guys on the next podcast.
I almost forgot the quote of the podcast. So the quote for this week's podcast is, women who invest in themselves go further. Now I tried to look up to see who wrote this, because I'm seeing it on like so many different people, Instagram and pictures and stuff like that. I cannot find who wrote that, so I'm just going to say anonymous. Women who invest in themselves go further. And I know a lot of people tell you that, especially when they're trying to sell you like a course or something. They're like, women who invest in themselves go further, because they're trying to get you to spend some money, right? So here is my twist on the quote of the podcast. Women who invest in their mindsets think further, right? because you can't just think about today. You can't just think about tomorrow. You have to think about your future and where you see yourself and where you want to be. But in order for you to even think about changing any of that stuff, you got to think about the mindsets that you have, because some of those mindsets are probably keeping you in the space that you're in. And if you want to grow and you want to do anything, you have to understand that. And you have to learn how to change or shift into the mindset that's going to give you the life that it is that you're looking for, right? So that's my twist on the quote of the podcast. So the quote of the podcast is, women who invest in themselves go further. And my twist on that is, women who invest in their mindsets think further. All right, y'all. You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaegoals.com. That's QueenBaeGoals.com. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next podcast.